Hi everyone, good afternoon. It is Sarah Shipton here from Scrapbooking with Sarah, and I'm coming live to you a day early this week for our Technique Tuesday. For those of you that are new here, every Monday I post a double page scrapbooking layout as a weekly scrapbooking challenge for you to recreate. You can scrap your stash that you have at home, or you can use current existing products like I'm sharing here with you today from Stampin' Up. And then the day following on Tuesday, I go live in my Facebook group, Scrapbooking with Sarah Shipton, with a technique that I have actually featured on the layout. Now, this week's technique is actually creating a main frame wraparound. You can see I've got a 1/2 inch wraparound frame here on my scrapbooking layout. And I'm actually going to do all of the cutting in front of you here today, so you can see exactly how this particular layout came together. Now, I am using this pattern, main frame wraparound. It is on page 65 of the Reflections scrapbook program. This is an older how-to pattern book that I had on my shelf, so we are going back to basics with our weekly scrapbooking challenges. So as you can see, we've got this main frame here. So we're actually going to be cutting down some strips of paper. This is a really great layout to do if you've got some leftovers from a scrapbooking workshop kit or a designer series paper pack. And then you can see here that we've got this fun technique where the ribbon is actually stitched onto the sections of where the paper dimensions meet. So I'm going to share with you how I've actually altered this, because as you can see, this particular pattern here is beneficial for a 5 by 5 inch photo. If you were to do this as a single page layout, this would make a great title page or an ending page in a 12 by 12 inch scrapbook. However, what I'm showing you to do today is how to convert this from a single page layout into a double page layout. So thank you for joining us live. I can see Belinda is on and we've got another person there. So feel free to say hello, drop me a comment below. Now, to do this particular double page layout, you are going to need 2 sheets of base cardstock or designer series paper. I probably would go with cardstock because as you can see here, you're actually going to cover most of the base of your cardstock. You can only very faintly or lightly see through here where you can see the cardstock. So you end up with this frame on the inside here. And then what I've done is I have cropped my photos. So if I look at a scrapbooking pattern and I know that I don't want just one 5 by 5 inch photo, I will still create the master pattern as it's designed to be created, but then I will take my photos and I will crop them to the best size for the photo. So these photos I've left at 4 by 6 inches. These photos here I've cropped down to 4 by 4. And then these photos I've cropped down to 3 by 4 inches. So these were all 4 by 6 inch photos that I had already printed. They were in my photo organizer, and I've taken a handful of them out because these particular photos go beautifully with this designer series paper. This is paper from the Nature Walk and Exploring Nature suite of products. So I have chose photos that actually go with these papers really well, okay? So if I don't use the photo that is going to, be featured as in the pattern, I will crop my photos first and then I will have a play around with where they're actually going to lay out on the page. And it worked out that the best positioning for these photos was to have these 2 larger ones at the top and then a mirror image of that, the other 2 4 by 6 inch photos diagonally opposite, and then the 4 by 4 and the 3 by 4 above the top. So grab your photos out, crop them down to the best size of your photo using those standard scrapbooking size measurements, and then have a play around with where you want to lay your photos out. I've opted for white photo mats this week because as you can see, we've got all these different designer series paper that are all kind of connected together. We have this square in the middle of just plain cardstock, and so having the white willow as the base for my cardstock, my photo mats this week really helped the photos to pop up off the page and stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to do all the cutting here in front of you today. I thought that would be fun because you can't really see, as I mentioned, you don't really see. Let me take this out of the memory protector. I've got a flip flap on top here. So this is a 4x6 flip flap, and I have popped that over the top of this photo here. So when you flip that up, you can see this photo underneath it, and then the one that I have actually got mounted on the base of my scrapbook layout. Now, a quick tip for you when I use flip flaps, I actually stick my photos back to back so they don't slide around in the flip flap. Now, you do need to give some consideration to where you're going to align the adhesive strip for the flip flap. So for example here, this 4x6 one could go at the top or the bottom, or I could have turned the flip flap on the side and then that would go over the top of a horizontally placed photo on the base of my scrapbook layout. In this essence here, because I'm flipping it up, I need to make sure that I don't actually stick my photos back to back. What I do is I put the photo that is going to be on top of the memory protector, and then I'll flip it up and I'll put adhesive on the back of the photo that's going to be stuck on the other side of it, so then I don't get confused with which way my photo is going to flip upwards, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense to you. So I'm just going to pop that one to the side. And yeah, so you don't really see, because I've stuck a lot of the photos over the top of the wraparound frame, you don't really see the frame that well. So I thought for today's Technique Tuesday, let's do the cutting together. Now I've got 2 sheets of cardstock here that I'm using as my base. This is crumb cake. So our cardstock is two-tone. So this is the original color of crumb cake, and if you turn it over, you will get a lighter side of crumb cake. I'm going to go with the original side of two-tone. And as I mentioned, this particular layer is really great to use up your scraps. So this is what I have left over from my Exploring Nature Scrapbooking Workshop kit. As you can see, I also purchased a packet of the Nature Walk Designer Series paper. And then once I have finished creating with this suite of products for the month, this is the last week of April, so I'm not going to be teaching, showing, sharing, demonstrating this particular range of products again now. The current catalogue that these products are in actually ends on April 30, okay, which is this Thursday. Now, what that will mean is that if you want to see if these products are still available past April 30, you'll need to jump onto my online store, scrapbookingwithsarahshipton.stampinup.net. You can actually type in the product range, so you could type in Nature Walk or Exploring Nature, or if you have got a code, you can actually type the code into the search function, and if the product comes up, it's available. If it doesn't, then that means it has gone. I do want to point out that the Exploring Nature Scrapbooking Workshop kit, when I checked on Saturday, there was a low inventory of this scrapbooking workshop kit. So if you haven't yet got your hands on it, or you want to get a second kit, my suggestion would be to do that sooner rather than later if you are in the South Pacific, as it is low inventory. It has already been restocked once, and I would say that it would be unlikely to get restocked a second time, given this catalogue finishes on Thursday. Okay, so let's do some cutting. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer here and take back into the camera holder here. Bear with me. Perfect. All right, just give me a thumbs up if you can see me and hear me still okay. We are still live. Apologies for that. We just had a little bit of a glitch. Okay, so what I've got here are some of my leftover papers from my Designer Series paper pack. As you can see, these are double-sided, and I've also got some cardstock that I'm going to be using today as well to create the 1/2-inch strips for the main frame wraparound. So what I'm going to do now with the paper dimensions, As you can see here with the pattern, I've posted this in our scrapbooking group. You're going to need 4 different sheets of designer series paper, and we're going to cut all of the pieces at 3 by 9 inches, okay? So the great thing about using your leftovers is because the paper is double-sided, we could cut these at 9 inches and then cut them at 3 inches, and you could take 2 pieces from one side and another 2 pieces from the other side, which I love. So let's see what we've got left here. We are definitely going to have enough for the 3 inches, and it is 9 inches long. So let's start by cutting this piece at 9 inches. And then all I have to do is cut this at 3 inches this way. So we're going to need 2 pieces at 3 by 9 inches the same, because you're going to put one on the left hand side and then one on the right hand side. And then I'm going to cut, oh, that's already at 3 inches, so that's perfect. So we're going to turn that over. And then I've got my other side of my 3 by 9 inch already. So we're going to cut that at 9 inches again. Let me turn this over because we're doing this side up now. And then we're going to cut that. Was that 9 inches? Yes, that's 9 inches. Oh my gosh, it looks a little bit longer when I turn that on the side. And then 3 inches again. No, that is, what is going on there? 9 inches by 3. Oh, that wasn't 9. Yes, it is 9 inches. What did I cut these ones at? That's 9 inches. Oh, this one was not at 9 inches. That's why, Sarah. Oh my good golly gosh. 3 by 9. I was like, this is like a super easy pattern, girls. That's 9 inches. And this is just a little bit over the 3. So let's cut this one again. Perfect. Okay, we are cooking with gas, girls. We are cooking with gas. Okay, so another piece of paper. This is at 9 inches. Now, are we going to have enough to do both sides? Because we will need, no we won't, but we'll have enough to do 2 sides here because that is 6 inches. So I'm going to cut it at 9 inches. Oh, it's already at 9 inches. How good's that? So then I'm going to cut this at 3 inches, and then I've got another 2 pieces of paper ready for that layout. And now this one here is a word pattern. So here's a little quick tip for you. If you've got some designer series paper that's got writing on it, you want to give some consideration to the way that the writing goes up. So because the writing is running horizontally, I want to make sure that I have this either at the top or the bottom of my layout. So I'm going to cut that at 9 inches first, and then I'm going to cut it at 3 inches horizontally, and then that way, oh, I don't have enough for that one. Oh, well, that's okay, because I'm going to show you a tip. I helped a customer do this at workshop on the weekend, okay? That way I've got these 2 pieces will run horizontally, and I can pop them on my layout. So I've got all of my bits of paper that I've cut at 3 by 9 inches, and now I need to give some consideration as to where they are going to fit on the layout. Now, as I mentioned, we've got the horizontal writing here. So I think what I'm going to do is have my horizontal writing running at the bottom of my layout, and then again at the top of my layout. Now, I did mention, you can see here that that one is actually not 3 inches. I'm short some paper here, but that's okay, because when I create the wraparound, the main frame wraparound, we're actually going to cover that gap anyway, okay? So that was a tip that I gave one of my customers at Scrapbooking on the weekend. And now we've got this beautiful green, so I might pop that green up the top like so. And then this green can go along the bottom. Now here you can see we've got a pattern where it's got a watercolor or like a painted design on there. So all our designer series paper is exactly as it sounds. this paper is designed in-house. So this would have been water painted, actually not water painted. You can tell by this pattern here that this has been painted probably on canvas. And so it had a bit of an ombre effect. So if that bothers you, that it's not actually a perfect match, as you can see here, then you might want to give some consideration to using a different style of paper. Now, this is going to be too short for me to cover up that gap, so I'm not going to be able to use that bit of scrap, and that is the last I have of this designer series paper. I'm not going to get too bogged down in the fact that it's not a perfect match, but I am going to put the heavier color at the bottom there. On my right hand side of my layout. And then I have got these two pieces here. So I can put one on the left and then one on the right. I'll bring this one back in here as well. And then I have got this lighter blue, which is going to go in the middle. So what I'm doing here, as you can see, is I'm creating a bit of a frame. Oh my gosh, I've got a cat hair there. I just go and rescue my cat from out the front. A dog walking past came into our yard and started to get a little bit crazy. Okay, so whichever paper you're going to put in the middle here is actually going to meet up. So I do like that lighter blue there in the middle. And don't be too worried about this tiny little 1/4 inch gap, because we are going to cut the main frame wraparound now. So I've got all my pieces of 3x9 inch paper, and I've just put them all in the places on the layout where they're going to coordinate. And now I'm bringing in some cardstock, which is going to cover over the top of where all of these 3x9 inch pieces of paper are going to meet. So I'm going to bring my paper trimmer back into the cutting view here. We'll open up this ruler. So the easiest way to do this, I need to cut 4 for this side and 4 for that side. So we need to have 8 in total. I'm going to start by cutting my cardstock at 9 inches first. And then that way it will be much easier for me to cut these at 1/2 inches. So we will need 8 of these. So we've got 1, we've got 2 of these, 3 and 4, so that can be for one side of the layout. So when you're recreating everything from a single pattern into a double pattern, all you're doing is cutting everything a second time, okay? And you want to make sure that you've got enough paper to be able to do that. So a great way, this pattern, to use up your scraps. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now you could actually use designer series paper for this if you wanted to. I had enough cardstock left over that I could cut 8 of those pieces out, which is why I opted to do these 1/2 inch strips as cardstock. And I love the pretty peacock as well. I'm bringing in obviously that pretty peacock color. And as you can see, the cardstock is two-tone. So you could actually trim, you could have it up one side, or you could turn it over and do the other side. I do like the darker side. So that is what I'm going to go with there. You can see this is coming together really nicely. So we've got these 4 1/2 inch strips, and all we're going to do is pop these 1/2 inch strips over where the paper is going to meet. So we're going to have one there. Now this will slightly go over, it will overlap. So it's up to you whether you want to cut that down or whether you want to tuck it under. I tucked mine under. So in an ideal world, I would have actually put all of these 3 inch pieces down. So this is where I was saying before that if you're going to be a little bit short, only by about 1/4 inch, you can see here I'm missing 1/4 inch of paper. If you're going to be a little bit short, don't worry, because this 1/2 inch strip is actually going to cover over the top of that and you're not even going to see it, okay? So I'll just straighten those up a little bit so you guys get the gist. I'm not going to stick all this down live today. I just wanted to do the cutting and give you an idea of how that looks. So this is how you end up with. Now, can you see how quickly and easily that's come together? This is just the base of your scrapbook layout. So we have recreated this pattern here, and you end up with this wraparound main frame. So if you wanted to, you could definitely put a 5x5 inch photo in here and a 5x5 inch photo in there. Or you can do what I did with my layout, and you can crop your photos down, and then you can align them on the layout in the positions that you want them to be in. Once you've stuck all of your photos down, what I like to do then is go in and use my stickers to create some little embellishment clusters. This is a journaling box here. Some of you might recognize this, because this was a technique that I did a few weeks ago where we actually inked around the border of a 12x12 sheet of paper. So I've actually just cut that down on the corner and made this a 3x4 inch journaling box. I've tucked that just underneath my photo there, and I've ruled my lines at 1/4 of an inch with my T-square ruler and journaled with my basic black journaling pen. These were some leftover stickers from my Exploring Nature Scrapbooking Workshop kit. I've also done a little sticker cluster here as well. And these photos were perfect because the only stickers, I have now used all of my stickers from my Exploring Nature Scrapbooking Workshop kit. So you will do with this kit 3 double page layouts, and then I have made another 5 layouts using the leftovers from my Scrapbooking Workshop kit, another packet of the Designer Series paper, obviously the coordinating cardstock, and these leftover stickers. You can see I've got 1 sticker left over here, girls, on my sticker sheet, and it has the word run. Now, I'm not going to use that because I do not run, and you will not see any photos of me doing any running in my scrapbooking layout. So I probably will throw that out now and not worry about using that 1 sticker. I've got chasing, adventure, walking through nature, things to note for my journal box, and then the words hike, walk, leave it better than you found it, and also hike. And then because I cannot get enough of these streaked dots, we actually launched these in September last year. Now, these are currently in the last chance product section, and I love them because they look like they've got this gorgeous wood grain effect. So I do love to put dots and bling on my scrapbooking layouts in little triangular groups of 3 around some sticker and embellishment clusters, as you can see here. So no big title. I've got this title sticker through here, and these photos from our walk through on a walking trail at Snowbird in Utah worked perfectly for these papers. You can see where I've done the 1/2 inch strips here over the top. I've used Designer Series paper. I do want to share with you, because you might have picked up when I turned this cardstock over before, that I had these white pieces. Now, initially what I did, I actually used the grey ribbon from this is the grey granite ribbon. This was from the Delicate Dreams paper suite that we launched in the March online exclusives. I actually put the grey granite ribbon over the top of my papers this week, bringing in some of the grey from this statue that you can see here. And I stuck that down over the top using my Tombow pen tip. This is a dual-ended glue pen. Now, the great thing I love about this is it does have a fine tip, so it's great for those really fiddly pieces. The glue actually dries clear, but the really annoying thing is the glue stained my ribbon. So I wasn't happy with that outcome, and this is why I ended up cutting these 1/2 inch strips to go over the top. That was primarily to cover the ribbon that got stained by the glue. When I do use ribbon, I like to fold it over my cardstock. And then I stick that down with just some scrap of white willow cardstock over the top, just to hold that ribbon securely in place. Now, because I ended up putting designer series paper, 1/2-inch strips over the top. I didn't bother wrapping that around. You can't see it. It's covered up the mess. I wasn't going to bother. Well, if I had pulled that ribbon off, it would have torn the papers and I wasn't starting over again. So I wanted to share that with you, that sometimes when you're doing something and it doesn't quite work out the way that you intended, then you can cover it up, right? So I wasn't going to worry about pulling all that up. I've got that on the back, but when I fold this into my memory protector, this is going to go onto the back of another scrapbook layout anyway. So when you turn this in my album, you're not even going to see those white bits of card on the other side. So I hope you have enjoyed today's Technique Tuesday on a Monday. For those of you that joined live, Bonnie and Emily and Belinda, thank you so much for tuning in. I will post this video to our Facebook group and my YouTube if you are watching back on a replay. I also just wanted to do a last minute reminder for the April product of the month is the Eyelet Blooms die. And this particular die, you can purchase this for $9 if you place an order of $125 or more. This is the product of the month for April, and this is a one-time purchase. So once you get this die set, you can't actually get it a second time, okay? And the product of the month is While Supplies Last. Thank you all for watching, ladies. Have a fabulous week. I'm not going to be in the office tomorrow because I am off to do a first aid course tomorrow, and I will be out of the office for all day Tuesday, which means this is why I have done today's Technique Tuesday on a Monday. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and I can't wait to see the layouts that you guys post this week. Bye for now.